All right, we're live. So in this series, I'm going to walk through the process I would go through to audit and develop a marketing strategy for a small business. So my goal with this series is to show my thought process to hopefully inspire ideas on how you can improve marketing and customer acquisition for your business. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a random business and then in a random city in the US, and we're just going to pull up their website and some of the marketing that they're doing and break down some of the things they could do differently. So let's dive in. And perfect. So what I'm going to do is go through the spreadsheet that we have to generate the business. So I have 20 different business types on here. And then we're going to do a random city as well. So for this, what we're going to do is just pick a random number between 1 and 20. So we have 16, which is locksmith. So we're going to analyze a locksmith business, and then we're going to get a random city as well. So let's run this. And we're looking at Honolulu, Hawaii. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a locksmith in Hawaii here and start to figure out what we can do to improve their marketing. So I'm going to start by going to the Google business listings, and let's take a look and see which companies are showing. Now I'm going to choose somebody who is not in the top 3. So let's take a look and let's see. Let's go with one of these down here that have a little bit less reviews. Let's see, Red Rocks, Affordable Locksmith. Let's go with, those guys are closed. I want to make sure we go to someone who has a website. So let's just go with this one. So let's check out their website. And perfect. And while that's loading, what I like to do here, so for this type of business, that's going to be pretty heavily dependent on Google, where customers typically are going to search for keywords related to locksmiths when they need the service. So because of that, what you'll typically see is the local service ads at the top. And this is one of the industries that Google prioritizes for these Google guaranteed local service ads. So this is a different ad type than the standard text ads here. So when we look at the search results, right away we can see Google guaranteed are the top 2 things. Then we'll see a text ad, which looks like these 2 companies are different from this company running text ads. So above the fold, that's really all we see. On mobile, it'll be pretty similar. Then we get to Google My Business. Now, sometimes there will be an ad as the first listing. We're not seeing that in this case. I'm seeing all organic results, but it doesn't mean there's no one running ads. So we have Google guaranteed, we have standard text ads, we have local business listings here with Google Business. Then we get to the normal standard organic results. So the number 1 ranking result is Yelp. So let's open that. Then we get a brand here, and then we have another brand. Then we have quite a few of the locksmiths. We also have expertise.com, which has 11 best locksmiths. And then we have another kind of review directory website. So my general approach here for this type of business, depending on the budget, but in the ideal world, would be to target all of these aspects that are showing up on the first page. A lot of these companies right now just have either one ad type. I'm not seeing anyone even with these results. So I'm seeing all different businesses in these results. Ideally, you would run a Google guaranteed ad, a text ad. You would do local SEO to get your listing here and potentially even show an ad here to get another listing in the local search pack. Then we get to finally standard SEO, where it looks like mostly home pages are ranking. It seems like every brand, it's pretty much just their homepage that is ranking. So I would look at optimizing the homepage to try to show up here organically. And then we'd also want to focus pretty heavily on Yelp in this instance, since this is the number 1 organic result, making sure we're featured on Yelp and potentially even running ads on Yelp to guarantee our placement. We can see sponsored results here. Looks like Isle Locksmith, which I saw right here doing Google guaranteed. They're also doing Yelp ads. So they're actually showing up twice here versus a lot of the other competitors are just showing up once. So this is the one we're going to review. It actually is Isle Locksmith. Okay, so the one, so these guys already are doing a lot of things here. They're doing Yelp ads, so they're showing up highly there. They're in Google Guaranteed already. So the next step for them that I would look at is launching Google text ads and doing some local SEO work to try to improve their organic rankings here. They already have really good coverage here on Yelp, and they're showing up in the very top listing. And the nice thing about the Google Guaranteed ads is they're a pay per lead or pay per call. So it's not a pay per click model. You're only paying when a call comes in. It doesn't always mean these are profitable, but you're guaranteed to get calls and to get leads. And then it just comes down to the volume, how much you could scale that, and also the cost per lead if it fits within your KPIs. So let's take a deeper look at the website itself. So I'm going to put the domain into SEMrush. We'll also put it into Ahrefs as well, start to get a feel for what they're doing organically. But while that's loading, and we'll take a look at organic deeper, the biggest area of opportunity I see, and it's possible they've tried text ads and they weren't profitable, but potentially having, what I found as well, potentially having multiple listings above the fold sometimes will improve the performance of each thing individually. So when a user sees Isle Locksmith here and then immediately sees a text ad and then scrolls down a little bit and sees them in the organic map listings, that shows a lot of authority and starts to build trust for the user before they even get to your website or look at your reviews. So that's something that no one really here is standing out and doing all those things. It looks like most businesses are focused on one aspect, or they're only getting results in one aspect. So I would really look at potentially getting multiple listings and visibility all above the fold here or towards the top of the first page using ads and organic. So for Isle, let's just scroll down. So what we're going to focus on are text ads and local SEO, and let's see if they're ranking organically. So they're below 3 other competitors organically. So this would also be a lower priority in my opinion, but something that I'd also look to improve because they have good coverage on Yelp, the #1 listing. Actually, they're below the fold here for 4. So organic, just traditional SEO, I would also look at here to see if we can drive that up. And ideally, this position 2, which is above the people also ask, is a pretty valuable spot to be in because a lot of the people, users searching this, if they get this far down the page, because of the people also ask and these other listings, they may not get down much further, and click-through rate I would expect to be a lot lower. So for Google Ads, it's pretty straightforward. We would build out a text ad. Now let's see if there's any offers. So let's see what these guys are doing. Get quote, professional 24/7 locksmith, 24/7 emergency. See what the copy is here. Basically just contact us today for services. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here to make an ad that's more compelling and that stands out. I do like that they're saying they're going to give you a quote and the 24/7 emergency. They're kind of repeating 24/7 locksmith and 24/7 emergency. Now, part of that is because of the way Google Ads works, where you input multiple headlines. Google is going to choose and kind of mix and match, but that would be something I would look at. So let's see if they're running any ads. It doesn't look like they're running any text ads. I'm not seeing anything in SEMrush. Let's also check Ahrefs here. If we go to the paid keywords reports, I'm not seeing anything. And then also for paid traffic, I'm not seeing anything. So most likely they are not running text ads. They're just doing the Google Guaranteed. So with the text ads, what I'd be looking to do is target mostly bottom funnel keywords like this. So keywords where someone's actively in the market for a locksmith in that area. So there's a couple ways I would do it. One of them is actually typing in the geo term. So the service, locksmith, plus the cities that they serve. If they serve areas outside of Honolulu, we could expand that out and just input different cities. So right away, we can take a look at some of these keywords here. So we're basically seeing the same keyword, just kind of rewritten in different ways. And actually an interesting differentiator that would be worth testing on Google Ads to see if there's a difference in conversions would be the type of locksmith. So I'm seeing car and auto, affordable and cheap. Now, if this is something they market themselves as like an affordable locksmith, this could be interesting. If they're more premium or higher end, we might want to add affordable and cheap as negative keywords so we don't get in front of that audience. That would really depend on the business strategy. I'm seeing emergency, mobile. Let's see if there's any other words that kind of differentiate things. Best, automotive. So really, it seems like from a setup standpoint on Google Ads, what we'd be looking at is just these broad geo terms. So locksmith plus the city. Then we'd probably have ad groups for these different types. So car and auto. If affordable and cheap were something we wanted to go after, these would go in their own ad group, and then we could evaluate how they're doing. If it's not the type of customer we want, we would add these as negatives. 24-hour would also be another good ad group. And the idea with these different emergency as well, we're trying to see like, are any of these subsections of keywords going to be more profitable or give us a better return? So I like to launch with these geo keywords plus some variations with these different words that differentiate what people are looking for. The other thing we would do is also campaigns where people are just looking for locksmiths, but they're not putting in the city. For that type of Google Ads campaign, what I would do is use location targeting to make sure we're narrowing down our targeting to just the areas we serve. So if someone's just typing in locksmith or locksmith near me, but they're not actually telling us where they are, that's where we're going to layer on location targeting. If they're typing in the city, I'm not as concerned with location targeting because the user's telling us where they want to find a locksmith. But in the situations where they're not, which near me keywords are going to be very high volume, just the word locksmith without any other words. This one we want to be a little bit careful with because it's so broad. We have a list of negative keywords, which I think is up to a couple hundred now, that we usually start with to weed out potential people not looking for services and just looking for information or asking questions. So I would test this kind of keyword, but we'd want to make sure we have enough negative keywords to try to make this as efficient as we can. But layering in location targeting for these keywords where they're not actually typing in the area is going to be key. So we're going to have one campaign that is less limited by location targeting, but the user is typing in the location, the keyword, and then a secondary campaign or separate campaign where they're not typing in the location, but we're going to narrow down to the areas we serve. That's going to give us a lot of coverage and a lot of potential keywords to start testing on. Now, it's always hard to say. You could look at cost per click. You could look at a lot of different metrics to try to gauge like what's going to be most efficient, but you really don't know until you start running the ads what's going to convert. Cost per click isn't the best way to decide whether you should run an ad or not. It can work both ways. Sometimes if a keyword has a lower cost per click, it means other advertisers are not getting a return, so they're not willing to spend any money on it, which is why the cost per click goes down with the auction system. And on the flip side, sometimes when the keyword has a high cost per click, it could mean that that keyword is converting well for other advertisers. They're getting a return, and thus they're all bidding and trying to get in front of those keywords. Now, sometimes if you have big competitors with large advertising budgets, they may be driving up prices and they may not be seeing a return and they may not be efficient. So a high cost per click isn't a guarantee that the ads are going to do well. But the mistake I see some businesses make is they see a high cost per click and they don't even test running ads on those keywords, and they only choose to go after lower cost per click keywords, which can be a big mistake because sometimes even though the cost per click is lower, you're not going to see a return necessarily just because the cost per click is lower. Ultimately, what we care about is cost per lead and cost per call, and ultimately cost per book customer. But that's it would be the initial criteria I use. So then as far as ad copy and offers, what I would normally do is, so with ad copy, we want to include the keywords directly in the ad copy. And then we want to have a lot of like benefits, and if there's any thing unique about this company that we can display in the ad so we stand out. We don't want to simply just list the keyword and say, call us, which is essentially what this competitor is doing. They are saying get quote. They do have a 24/7 emergency, which I think is good to call out. But there's some opportunity there to make things a little bit more compelling. Now, with this type of business, there's not a ton of different things from an offer standpoint. It's really people want to know they can call you now and you can get there in an emergency. So I think that's probably the key language to dig into, is displaying if you are 24/7 and that you can act quickly. And so like response time could be something interesting to dig into. This is not really a type of business where you need like a free consultation or some kind of lead magnet, really. I think this is pretty direct response. We want to be there in an emergency when someone needs the service, and we want to be able to display that our company can get there quickly and is available 24/7 if they are. So Those would be kind of the main things from a copy standpoint I would look at. Now, that's pretty much enough to get Google Ads live. The other thing would be a landing page. I'd probably create a dedicated landing page here instead of just driving to their homepage. That way you can kind of optimize it a bit more for Google Ads. They're doing a lot of things right. Like look at, the service page. I wouldn't drive to. Let's go back to the homepage. Of the pages they have, this is probably the best page. And if we couldn't get a landing, we'd start with this. This is kind of interesting in their discount here, 10% off for new customers, 10% off for military. That could be something we tout in the ad copy, or we could even use a promotion extension. But that would probably be something I want to display in the ad copy in some way. Now, ultimately, this is the best landing page that I see. So this is probably what we would use. They have some social proof with reviews. I think in this kind of business, showing good reviews and testimonials is important, but then really showing that you're trustworthy and the service on top of that you provide. All right, so that's pretty much it on the Google Ad standpoint. That would give us basically the guaranteed ad that's already running. Then it would give us a text ad here. Then for the local map listings here, let's take a closer look at where this company is. So we'll see actually when you click into this, Google's still showing the guaranteed ads. And here we are here, position 5. Now, one of the things that I see here is, see this one has an exact match kind of keyword in the business name, which can be a big ranking factor. Just quickly looking at this, reviews are definitely something they would want to drive up. Like you'll see the competitors in the top 3, the minimum is 230 reviews. There's even a company that has over 1,000 reviews and 4.9 rating. So our rating is close, it's 4.8, but our volume of reviews are a lot lower. So that would be one of the biggest things that we'd focus on from a local SEO standpoint, is driving the quantity up and trying to get closer to, in this case, 4.8 is probably good enough if we had more volume, but I still would want to drive that up to be as good as the competitors. Ideally, if we can get keywords in the review copy. So sometimes what I like to do is have businesses, when they ask their customers for reviews, is to ask them to also mention the service they received, like the specific service. So if it was for a car, they'd actually use that language in their review. You can't guarantee it, but what we find is if we ask customers to do that, they're more likely to, and we end up getting more customers, including keywords like locksmith, their city, in the review itself, just by asking. There's a lot of software you can look at to help the process of getting reviews. So I'm not going to get too deep into that. Really, all of them are good, whichever one you want to use. But that would be the biggest thing from a local standpoint, just quickly looking at this. Then we could take a deeper look at citations, their Google business profile. Let's look at their Google business profile now and see what that looks like. So here we could see on the right, we have some information. They are using posts. Looks like they're doing 1 per month. Well, they had 2 in December. Let's see, 1 in November. So they're doing about 2, it looks like 1 to 2 posts per month, which is fine. I would do at least 2 per month. I'd probably mix in more content as well, instead of just all the call nows. But again, this, as long as we're active here, that's about as much as we can do. And if we had Google Business Access, I would look at all the different fields to see if they're using as much of Google Business as possible. So filling in services, all the information. Looks like their category is correct. Locksmith, I like to look at the top 3 results here to make sure they're all using the same category. So it seems like locksmith is definitely going to be the primary category here. So they're doing that. So really where I'd focus them most is on reviews, and then building out their Google business profile a little bit more. And then we could look at citations, building more, or cleaning up if they have any issues. There are free tools you could use to check citations. I think Yext has a scanner. There's a bunch of them. And really what that's going to tell you is, do you have any inconsistencies that you need to clean up? I'm a big fan of Loganix. They have a citation audit that I believe is $7, and there's another like around $50 version. Those are really cool because it'll give you this detailed report. And with the $50 version, it'll also break down, do a competitor analysis and see all the citations they have. So you can start to get a feel to make sure you're on par with some of these top ranking competitors. Because this is such a competitive industry, this is an industry where every little edge can help you. So we really want to make sure we're doing everything possible. I would also immediately in Google Ads, when we launch the text ads, I would add a location extension. And the location extension is going to give you the ability to have an ad show up here in the first position. So while we're working on the Google My Business to show up organically, we can have our guaranteed ad, our text ad, and then our ad in the first position of the map pack. So we immediately have 3 ads at the top of the fold. Then long term, we'd want to get our organic listing. We're in position 5 into this top 3. That's going to have a really big impact because now that would potentially give us a 4th listing where we'd have sometimes our ad would show and we'd always have our organic listing. We're already doing Yelp, so we could skip this. So now we have 5 potential ways somebody could find us, which is key for some of these things. Now with this type of service, some people will just call the first couple results they see. Others will start to look and want to call multiple options. And as they're doing research, scrolling down to try to find other locksmiths, they will continue to see us on the first page, which is really important, which is really going to separate us from everybody else who's doing this service, which can be hard to differentiate. A user just wants a locksmith. They want someone reliable who's going to get there quickly. They don't necessarily care about brands. So reviews are really important, but building that authority by showing up multiple times can be really beneficial. So Yelp, they're already doing. Then to improve the organic listings here, what I'd probably look at, so we have our homepage here. We can take a look at Locksmith. So these guys are going after the affordable angle here. These guys are putting 24/7 and mobile in there. As we saw earlier, those were like keyword variations. Same thing with the word affordable. This one here is getting into different types. So safes, locks, keys, and they have the city. This one has the phone number directly there. Phone number in title tag is kind of interesting. You can get some phone calls that you might not have gotten by doing that. It's not always the best use of space. It's not definitely something you have to test because we are limited on characters in the title tag. So for this kind of title, I would definitely want to get this core keyword in there. And because it's the homepage, we do want our brand name here as well. So let's take a look. So Locksmith Services, they have their cities, and then they have the brand name. So now, yeah, one thing I would change is get rid of this at the end. So we have a little bit more characters. We already have the location here. Meta description, this would need to be reworked. It's over the character limit, and we can definitely make this a little more concise. We don't need to do this with the exact keywords here. Like they just took their title tag and then appended a meta description to it. So with the meta description, I really just care about trying to optimize for click-through rate and standing out in the search results. I don't really care about jamming a keyword into this. Usually you can work the keyword in naturally, but I'd really want to make sure this is written more and is more compelling. Yeah, Google's not even using that meta description. They're grabbing probably a sentence from the page itself. So that's something I would look at here to see if we can update that to get a better click-through rate. As far as the title tag, it looks like Google's taking the brand name and moving it to the front. So if we look at that and then putting this part secondary, let's see, Locksmith. Yeah, so Google's reversing that. I'd imagine they might be doing that for this website as well. Let's take a look. And yeah, Google's doing the same thing here. They're leading with the brand name and then moving this to the back. So actionably, there's not a ton you need to do. I mean, you could do that yourself. We could just start with the brand, but I think it's fine to go with this format. It is working for this competitor. Now, so title tag meta description is definitely something I would look to update. As far as title tags, I really care about like getting the main keyword in there. That can still have an impact, but then thinking about like the main keyword would be the locksmith and the city, Honolulu. We want to get both of those in there. But is there anything else we can add to the copy here that would stand out from everybody else? So these guys have the word affordable, if it's actually their brand name. So they have that in there. These guys have 24/7. So what else can we add to differentiate so we do get more clicks when people are looking at this section here? So for them, we have a discount. I don't know that I would lead with that. I do like the 24/7 best. So finalists in this magazine, like some social proof could be a good option. Let's see, professional locksmith service, independent, locally owned and operated, maybe locally owned and operated. We'd have to start thinking through, do our customers care about that? But that's the type of thing I'm trying to find. Expertise in all facets, extensive knowledge. That's kind of like, can be trust building. So that's really what I'd be looking for here is they're fully insured, is getting the core keyword in. So Honolulu locksmith, excellent customer service, and then figuring out what, and we, because it's the homepage, we're going to want to include the brand name. So we're not going to have a ton of characters left, but of all the benefits and all the way they operate, if we can narrow down the number one thing that their customers would care about and display that in the title tag. So it could be 24/7 with 1 hour response time. Whatever they do that would differentiate them, that's going to have a big difference, because right now everybody is doing the same thing essentially, with some minor fluctuations here where these have affordable, they have 24/7. This one just has the keyword, the location, and their brand name. So that would give us some opportunity to stand out. Now, from a backlink standpoint, that would be the other thing we would need to investigate. Result here, and typically what I would do is go through the top 3 to 5, everybody who's ahead of the company we're looking at. And let's do that here. So I like to use Ahrefs Keyword Explorer. So if we put in the keyword we were looking at, here we'll see some metrics behind this. Looks like search volume is growing over time in this market. You can see competitors and if there's any fluctuations in rankings over time. But ultimately what I want to see is the different websites and then start to look at backlinks. So yeah, this already is going to be a big factor that we're pretty lagging behind. So our website here has 2 referring domains. The top result here has 36. The second result outside of Yelp, the third-party site, has 56 to their homepage. So there's definitely going to be a big need for backlinks here. Now we could look specifically at where these 2 sites are getting their backlinks. Let's also take a look at the 2 backlinks we do have. So doing the citation work, we'll get an initial list. So my guess also here is they might not have done a lot of citation work. So yeah, like you'll see this one here, most of their backlinks are just business directories and citations. So that would be Chamber of Commerce, Bird Eye, D&B. This would be an easy lift to recreate these. Same thing here. If we go to the next one, Affordable Locksmith, again, you're seeing the same business directories. So both of these companies have been doing local SEO citation work where our website really has not. So that would be the lowest hanging fruit there for getting those initial backlinks. Then we can go beyond that and look at, is there local specific websites we can get featured on? Are there locksmith industry websites that we could write a guest blog for or figure out how to get featured there? Guest blogging is an old tactic, but it can still work, particularly in these niche industries and local industries. Also from a brand standpoint, it would be good to be able to show we're credible because we've been featured on all these big publications for locksmiths. So there's definitely some benefits outside of that. This isn't really an industry where, from a branding and PR standpoint, you might be able to go on podcasts and do different things just from like a brand building standpoint. I think a lot of business owners running this type of business might not have the time or focus to do that. So that would be kind of the next layer down I would look at, just overall PR and branding, and then getting some natural backlinks just through those efforts with partners and different industry websites. So that's going to be a huge factor just looking at, and these backlinks, the nice thing about directories are it's very easy to recreate. And we're already on the first page with basically 2 referring domains. So we don't necessarily need the exact amount that some of these competitors have, but that will immediately give us a jump up once we're able to do that. So after working on organic, so I think for them, organic search is updating the title tag, meta description, building some backlinks. Then we could look at the homepage itself from a conversion and UX standpoint. Looking at this, there's probably things we can do to clean this up. Let's go through it. So here they're pretty keyword focused. So let's see, local locksmith providing emergency automotive. Like this, we're basically saying they're a local company. They provide emergency services. We're listing out a few of the key types. So automotive, residential, commercial. We have a CTA to call them. I want to make sure we have call tracking set up. And let's actually see if we use built with, this might show us. So opt-in monster, they're on WordPress, they're using Yoast. A call tracking tool would be nice because we're driving calls to really analyze with Google Ads and organic search and different marketing, what's actually driving these phone calls. So call rail, call tracking metrics, there's tons of different ones you could use, but that would be something I would implement if our main CTAs, which seems to be call, because this is a pretty phone call dependent business. When someone's in a situation, they're going to want to call someone and get in touch with them right away. On the right here, so we're kind of repeating this sentence and this. So I'd probably think about, is there anything else above the fold we can do about like a benefit or something to differentiate us right at the top here? They're definitely doing some things right. We have a discount right here as well. If this is something they're trying to promote to get customers, I think that's fine. Then we get into our services, social proof with awards. If there's any updated ones, they're a finalist actually. It looks like they won in 2020. And let's see. Yeah, more trust building I think would be good. They have some of that here about their knowledge, but more ways they can prove this out. Let's see, why choose us? So then they have kind of, okay, this is something I probably would even think about moving up higher on the page and really building this out more. Maybe if there's a way they could show, as they're saying why choose us, show a customer testimonial that backs it up. So customer support, maybe they have a review or can get one that shows that they responded quickly and they did a good job. Another one showing like technically the job they did, that they were able to solve the issue quickly. Response time, if we can get a review that shows, hey, within whatever amount of time they responded and got to the job, that would be a nice way to build this out and show there's support to back up these claims, because everyone's going to say they're knowledgeable, they're professional, but if we could layer in some type of testimonial and figure out how to do that design-wise in this section, I think this could do a lot more than it's currently doing. And I would move this up higher on the page and really kind of feature this. This is good, embedding customer testimonial, 5-star rating, reviews, some images, and they do have a form here. If someone wants to submit a form, we have a call, and then we have this. This grid here for local performance, it could help. I would want to look closer and see, like, are these areas we serve pages, are they helping? And the tricky thing with these two is differentiating the content a little bit. So I'd imagine these are pretty templated, where there's really not much unique about these, and there's not. So I would take a close look, and this kind of goes outside of what we were looking at, but can we make these pages better and different? Like, some of the content is definitely going to be boilerplate and it's going to be on multiple pages, but there's really almost nothing changed besides the city being worked in here. And in the title tag. So this I would look at, maybe there's more we could do about the area, show like the response time to this area. How long does it take us to get to this area on average? Anything we can do to just make some more custom, unique content on this would be another way to rank for other cities. Now, outside of those things, so if we were to do all these things, they already have the Google Guaranteed ad, we would have a text ad, we would have an ad in the map listing, and ideally an organic placement. We're already featured on Yelp. Ideally, based on getting backlinks, improving the title tag and meta description, and improving the landing page itself, we would move up ideally into this top area here. Now, all of a sudden, we have so much coverage on the first page. Now, we didn't cover people also ask. With a blog strategy, we could also start targeting these. And that could be something interesting to try out, like actually creating blog content for some of these questions and seeing if we could also be the result in here, where we could have an article on like the steps you need to take to choose the best locksmith, another one on locksmith cost breakdown, like why are they expensive? And then this one, we could do something like what a locksmith does, like will they open locks? Will they do this? So I would probably address a lot of these through a blog strategy. Now, a blog strategy for this type of business would be lower on my priority list. But if we have budget, long-term, it can help us get new backlinks. It could also give us some traffic by ranking for these terms. Probably won't be the biggest lead driver unless we find something really local specific. But to get backlinks to the website, it's a lot easier to get backlinks pointing to blog content than a service page. So from a backlink standpoint, and then getting a little bit of coverage, and these people also ask, that would be kind of probably the last thing I would look at. Now, outside of just Google, the other thing we could consider, once we have enough website traffic, could be doing some remarketing on Facebook and Instagram, where essentially we would want to remarket to people that have visited certain pages. So like maybe there's a specific service page, maybe someone who's went to the contact page but didn't actually submit a form. So we'd really want to think through like what the remarketing audience is going to be. But the idea would be, and this would also be something we'd probably want to have a short window on. If someone's on your website and they don't book right away, we might only want to do this for a couple days after that. With this type of business where there's an immediate need, remarketing to someone 2 months later probably isn't going to give us the best return. It's something you could test, but I would really focus on figuring out what's the page that really signifies they're interested in the service. So, and then ideally remarket to people for a few days in case they still have a need and didn't book. Now, again, if someone's searching for it, it's probably something they're going to be making calls for quickly. So remarketing would also be fairly low on the list, and I'd want to test it. And if it doesn't work, reallocate that budget. But that would be one final thing to potentially consider here, given everything else they're doing. So those would be kind of the main things I would look at here. And again, immediately, I really like Google guaranteed ads for locksmiths. The main thing with this is, does the cost per call work for your business and the amount you're charging? If it does, this is a really easy thing to get live and run. And then the thing to think about is, how do we scale this? Can we just increase budget? Can we go to new cities? Also, getting more reviews will help your Google guaranteed performance, because right away we can see there's a big difference between these two. This one almost has 1,000 reviews and these guys don't. So that would be something I would look at. That's also going to help your map listings. But this is kind of the immediate thing I would do, because we're basically going to be able to get these phone calls right away. Then I would look at a text ad, because right now it doesn't look like there's a ton of competition here. And if someone skips this Google guaranteed, that's the next opportunity to get that phone call. I would also probably change some of the language here to really tout that we're going to get to you quickly and we're available 24/7. Then we look to local SEO here and the local ad extension to get featured in this map listing. Just doing those things is going to get us a lot more coverage for our core keywords. This business is already advertising on Yelp, so that would be something I would try. If it's not working well, it's something you could pause and shut. But because this Yelp listing does rank in the first organic position, there's probably a decent amount of traffic going there. So it's a nice way to just immediately be one of the top Yelp listings. And then because they are the top Yelp listing because of this, a user would have seen them here. If they were doing the rest of the strategy, a user would have also seen them 2 more times at least. So 3 times before they go to the Yelp page. And then the first thing they see is this company again on Yelp, which is just kind of reinforcing that they saw this company a bunch of times on Google and now they're the first Yelp listing. So there's a really high chance they're going to get a call from one of those things. Then after that, just traditional SEO would probably be a lower priority, but still something to improve. Some people will skip ads and they will just normal organic listing. And in those cases, you do want to be all this authority these times. And then if the user also sees you showing up organically, just the chance of getting that phone call goes way up. And this is a business where being available and being there to take the call is going to have a big impact on if you get the customer. So social media, organic, I wouldn't touch. Ad, like I said, on the retargeting side. But other than that, those would be kind of the core focuses that we'd look to do to improve just visibility, customer acquisition, getting those phone calls for a locksmith. Now, this is definitely a competitive industry. In this specific market, though, it looks like a lot of the competitors, from a review standpoint, that's where they're the toughest. From a backlink and website standpoint, there's not a whole lot that some of these top competitors are doing that's much better than Iowa Locksmith. So that gives us a good opportunity there to potentially improve that quicker than what a locksmith industry normally might take. So that's pretty much it. With these videos, what we're going to do is continue to just do live breakdowns. I'm going to work on probably a format. We're working on like a marketing audit system that we'll actually start using. So it'll be a checklist and kind of a tool that we build out in Google Sheets. And then we're going to follow that system to audit and create a marketing strategy for these random businesses in different markets across the US. So what's going to be cool about that is eventually we'll be able to give that template away. I want to use these live sessions to kind of show how I would use the template. So these first couple live sessions are just going to be off the top like this. We're just going to pull it up. We're going to take a look and see all the different aspects that I would look at. And then pretty soon we're going to have a formal system for auditing the marketing. And then also the next step to that is one, doing the audit and finding the opportunities, but then turning those opportunities into a plan. So that'll be another piece we add to this. We'll start to show, after doing the audit, what like a monthly plan and what a 6-month plan or quarterly plan could be for this kind of business, where there's all these different things they can do. Like we saw, there's all these different ad types, there's organic, there's local SEO, there's directories, review sites. How do we prioritize that? And I want to show at different budget levels, if you only have 500 a month or if you have 5,000 a month, what would I continue to add on as the budget increases to enhance the results? So that's really it. That's going to be the format. And again, the next couple will be just doing random reviews, and we'll add more business types to this list as well over time. We're going to start with these 20, but over time we'll keep adding new types of businesses here, and then ultimately find the exact marketing audit system that we're developing, and then a way to turn that audit into a plan. And my idea with that, again, is to just increase efficiency. And then by having an audit checklist and kind of process, you can standardize how you do audits. And ultimately, even if you don't have any experience with running Google ads, doing SEO, if you follow this process, you could do it for your own business without needing to hire a consultant or an agency. So you can get started a lot quicker and just getting to the stage where you can take action, which is ultimately going to give you the most results. So that's it for now. The next one will be, we're going to be doing these weekly. Actually, last thing for admin notes here. I probably should have started with this, but we're going to be doing these weekly. And the goal is, again, to analyze a different business in a different city each week. And then we'll keep going and building on it from there. So thank you. And the next one will be next week.